What's up, guys? Thanks for joining us. Fantasy Endgame live on Monday night. We still have one more game before this week 6 is officially over. Some of you might be glad it's over. Some of you maybe need some big games tonight. This is actually going to be a good Monday night game. We don't get to, well, okay, yeah. Should be a good Monday night game, right? Should be.
Yeah.
There've been a lot of times, look, because we live stream every night. But on the Mondays and the Thursdays, a lot of times we're so busy we don't even get to watch the games because we're doing
Yep.
videos or something. And I'm like, I didn't really miss anything. Like, didn't miss much last night. Talking about injuries and waivers, and I'm like, I can do without watching the New York Football Giants. But
Yeah.
tonight, I kind of want to watch this game because number one, I have Justin Herbert in about 90% of my leagues. Number two, there's a couple of leagues where it still matters. I got CD Lamb, got some Pollard here and there, and then number three, I think it's just going to be a good game. But are you fearing a letdown here?
I mean, a little. It should on paper. You're right. It should be a good game, but week six was a total letdown. I mean,
Yeah,
very very low scoring week. Very low scoring, like touchdowns, fantasy points. There's not a lot of big games. Not a lot of studs. Like there weren't like huge busts. I mean, there were some huge busts, but there were just a lot of studs who just kind of were like okay this week, right? Because we didn't have a lot of exciting games. Didn't have a lot of scoring this week, so hopefully this game can save it, but we shall see. On paper, that should be a
and
good game.
uh, which is especially weird because there was only two teams on bye, and
Right.
neither of those teams are offensive, loaded with stars. I mean, it was the Steelers, it was one team, and then the Packers, a couple of players, but still. Next week, now here's the thing. I'm, looking ahead. We're already looking ahead. Next week, you got 6 teams that are going to be on bye, and some of those teams do have some star players. So, man, it's going to be interesting filling in some of those holes in the lineup. So
Yep.
we'll look ahead. Of course, help answer your early week 7 questions. But tonight, I know we already got some questions here as far as what's going to happen because you got some Cowboys, some Chargers in your lineup. Let's see what happens as far as the end of this week, and then some big injuries again, unfortunately. So let's start with the CMC thing. We don't know anything yet. I know it was an oblique. I know that there's some suspicion. It might be like a week or two that he misses. I haven't heard anything new today. Have you?
No, last I heard he was getting an MRI, but we haven't gotten any update from that yet. But doesn't sound too serious as far as like worst case I'm hearing is maybe 3 weeks, but probably more likely 1 to 2. Um, so yeah, hopefully by tomorrow, when waivers run for most leagues, we'll have some clarity on what the MRI got back and what the timeline is looking back like for him. But it doesn't sound too serious right now.
Yeah, and again, we really don't know a lot. I mean, you never get definitive answers in the guy unless they're clearly out,
Right.
or it's just a non-issue. A lot of times you wait till Friday to really find out. At the very least, I do think I'm a little bit more in on fantasy leagues running their waivers on Wednesday night. Give an
Yep.
extra day just to find out.
Yes.
So we'll see with CMC, but this is also why we do that early waiver wire. Talk about stashes that beat the breakout guys. Like, look, you're not going to play them this week, and maybe you don't need them this week, but the just in case, this is why. Here's the just in
Yes.
case. Jordan Mason's going to become a starter. He's a guy that you want to add. You're going to drop fab on him, or you could have picked him up and stashed him a week ago. And then another guy who I mentioned a couple weeks ago, Zach Evans. Like Zach Evans, but there was no path. Well, guess what? A big path just opened up. Kyron has already been ruled out. Am I right?
Yeah, I don't know if he's officially been ruled out, but it sounds like he's very doubtful for week 7 with what they're just calling an ankle sprain. So we don't know the severity of that. But Ronnie Rivers, we do know it's a PCL injury, and he's going to miss, I think they're saying, a few weeks.
Yeah. So you got the top 2 running backs potentially, probably gone. So there you go. Now a chance for rookie to shine. What will he do? Who knows? But he's got the opportunity. And, basically, not only because that's how McVay rolls, but also just because they literally have nobody else except for like Royce Freeman. I think we could see a lot of Evans. So I'm hoping for the best. Now, I'm not going to drop a ton of fab on some of these guys. Maybe some people learn the hard way with Amari Demarcado.
Ooh.
I mean, I don't get this, honestly, because Keontae Ingram did play, but then they also brought in Damian Williams, who hadn't played football in how long and did nothing. But like, what? I don't get this. What are they doing?
I think this is a cautionary tale for when there's a guy who like is forced to play snaps because literally nobody is left standing. And the guy who's forced to play snaps isn't really anything special. And then some guys come in who maybe aren't also anything special, but now there's multiple not special guys there. Maybe it's like not the kind of guys. Look, I know like we weren't saying go all in on him. Of course, we weren't telling people, but there's some serious fab dropped in our endgame leagues on Amari, and it looks like this guy is like you could almost send this guy right back to the waiver wire. You know what was really crazy is he actually played the most snaps of any of the running backs, but he only got 2 carries. It's like they only put him out there to block. Was he only out there to block? Like, hey, if we're going to run the ball, you can stand on the sidelines, but we're going to get out there so you can block. Like, was that his role? Like, yeah, which is why don't go, like, which is why I would just, I mean, like, this isn't the waiver show tonight, so I don't want to go too into it, but I would caution people, don't drop too much fab on Jordan Mason. Don't drop too much fab on Elijah Mitchell if he's out there. Don't drop too much fab on Zach Evans. These aren't guys that are like, you know, the clear, like, okay, this guy is just going to take over this backfield now. Not to mention, you know, the same with James Conner, though. Like, we know, like, CMC is coming back. Kyron is probably coming back. Ronnie Rivers is probably coming back. So even if they're the guy, they're only the guy for a short while. So, yeah.
Right. It's just confusing to me because when Demarcado was forced to play, he actually looks pretty good. I mean, you think he kind of earned himself a look, and then Keontae Ingram was playing. He's not good. Like he's nothing special. We already know he's nothing special. Why was he getting touches? And then it wasn't like enough that, okay, fine, Ingram, maybe he's earned it as a starter. Then they bring a guy off the street to get more touches. That was just like insulting to me. I didn't even know who Amari Demarcado was 2 weeks ago, but I feel personally offended on his behalf that he didn't get the touches over Damian Williams. So that makes me angry, but oh well. But also, I didn't put more than like $4 bids on him in any of our leagues. So, all right, let's just end with this before we get to the questions, because I know we got some lined up. So y'all have been waiting, and we want to answer all your questions, whatever it is. Prediction tonight. I don't mean score. I mean, prediction as far as some of these players. We're expecting a huge game from Pollard. You think Dak bounces back? CeeDee Lamb? You think this is a high-scoring game? We're going to have another disappointing Monday night game? What are you expecting?
I do. I expect the Cowboys offense to have a great night tonight, and people remember, like, oh, yeah, this is still a good offense with good players. They just had they've had like a really strange run out, not only with, you know, a lot of tough matchups, but a lot of games where the defense put up points, you know, like literally like the defense scored touchdowns where, look, if the defense is scoring 2 touchdowns, I don't care what offense you are. If your defense is giving you 2 touchdowns, your offense probably isn't going to do a lot in that game because A, you're getting 2 touchdowns from your defense, and B, that means instead of you having the ball goes right back to the other offense. You know what I mean? So they've had some crazy games like that where the defenses scored touchdowns. You know, they haven't played. Really, Arizona was probably the only soft matchup they had, and they kind of like laid an egg in that game. So I do think tonight we see the best Cowboys offense we've seen this year, and people are like, oh, yeah, that's right. These guys are still good players. You know, everything's going to be okay.
Should be. Chargers one of those teams that, for the most part, should get in a high-scoring games because they have a really good offense and a pretty bad defense.
Right.
So let's hope. Like if the Cowboys just do nothing on offense tonight, yeah, then it's time to panic. There's a bigger issue here. Let's see.
Yes, then we're in panic mode for sure.
Now, one thing I do feel pretty confident about is that Dak Prescott will get at least 1 yard at some point tonight. I think he does it, pulls it off. And you know what? That's good for you if you are new to Underdog. If you have not tried Underdog yet, you get to take advantage of that pick 'em right there. Dak Prescott over 0.5 total yards. I think he can do it. It's the Chargers. And so if you're new, just make sure you sign up and you use promo code ENDGAME because you get that new user special, but also you get that deposit match of 100% for every dollar you put in up to $500. That's right. You double your money, get the free pick 'em, and all sorts of other offers that are always available to Underdog users. You know what I'm talking about, all you who already have signed up. So check it out. And then you can do those picks for tonight's game. They're all live. See right there, Dak, you can take. I mean, you can't combine it with another Dak pick, but you can take anything else. You can have defensive players. Look at that. Just one player alone. You got like 10 different options. And during the game, while you're watching, you can do live in-game picks because they update constantly. So you can make a whole new set based on how the way the game is going. So look at that. We haven't even got to the other team yet. And you see all those different options. So it's a really fun way to follow along with the game and, kind of get some skin in the game, so to speak. Even if your fantasy team is done, well, that's okay. Then you just put together some picks on Underdog. Feeling pretty good. Yeah, I would probably take the lower on Quentin Johnson. I'm sorry. I mean, he's going to need one big play. I don't know. Not feeling it. No. Y'all see, and it's refreshing right there. See, now it's going up because you're influencing the algorithm, Chris. I think all right. But if you haven't tried it yet, honestly, it's the best time to try Underdog.
Yes.
Just make sure you use promo code ENDGAME. All right, let's get to some of these questions. Cerulean Dog is up with Aubrey. That's the kicker against Tony Pollard. So, how big a Tony Pollard game are you feeling?
Yeah, this could be tight. This could be tight. Like, look, kickers are always wild cards, right? Like,
yeah,
you never know. You never know how many points your kicker is going to get you. So, yeah, this could definitely be a nail biter. If Pollard has a big game tonight, like we expect, then this could definitely be a nail biter for you.
It's going to be close. Definitely going to be close. I mean, you've got a decent enough lead, and like if you figure Aubrey's going to score at least a few points, I think you can pull it off. But yeah, just hope Pollard doesn't reach the end zone twice. Now we do have, because the panic video, out, a lot of players who did disappoint this week. I'm seeing a common theme here. Let's start with Marcus. This was the first comment. Would you trade Adams? Worried about him. I had a down game.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing you want to do is panic on guys when they have one or two down games, because outside of maybe like a handful of guys, I mean, even the handful of guys will have down games. Everybody will have down games. Now, if you're worried about Jimmy G, we did get some good news today. It sounds like it may not be as serious as it seemed. He may only miss 1 week. So, if that's your worry, that's not really a worry either. I would not be trading Adams right now. The other problem when you do this, when you say, oh my gosh, he's had 2 down games, I'm panicking on Adams, let me go trade him. You're trading him at his low point.
Right.
So, like, you're not getting – I'm not saying, like, people are going to lowball you on Adams. I'm just saying you can't get, like, what you could have gotten, say, a couple of weeks ago when he came off a big game. So, everybody's going to have down weeks. Everybody's going to have down games. He did take that huge hit and did miss a pretty big chunk of the first half. He did come back in that game. So, yeah, I'm not trading Adams. I'm holding Adams.
If Jimmy G was like out for the season, okay, I'd be worried. But even then, Brian Hoyer is a capable quarterback. He's not ideal, but he's better than some of the guys who are still starting in the league, probably. Nah, I wouldn't worry. Like you said, he missed a little time. The Patriots, you know what the Patriots do. They try to take away your biggest weapon. They made sure they gave him plenty of attention, which is why the tight end got some, catches. Myers still had a decent game. So anyways, not worried about Adams. No. And then what about Swift? I mean, I know rushing stats were bad, but look at his fantasy total. He still put up a big game because of his receiving work.
Yeah, that was definitely encouraging to see. I mean, this was just a weird game.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, 3 interceptions. basically threw the game away in the end.
Yeah.
Right when they had the game pretty much won, and then he threw it away. Yeah, it was just a weird game, but it's encouraging to see that Swift is getting involved in the receiving game. Remember, receptions count too. In fact, it's been proven. I mean, look, maybe not in your standard leagues, but I'm assuming not in a standard league, but in a PPR league, running back receptions are worth like 2.3 times a carry. I think on average, something like that is the number. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, he didn't have like a 100-yard rushing day, but like I'd rather my running back catch a bunch of passes, you know what I mean, than not catch any passes and have 100 yards rushing. Because you can have a guy like, I mean, I know he didn't have 100-yard rushings, but you can look at a guy like Deonta Foreman who had 65 rushing yards. That's pretty good, but he didn't do anything else. So what do you get? You get nothing. You get nothing. So yeah, again, we can't react to one game. Crazy stuff happens in the course of one game every week, and you can't overreact to it. So, not worried about Swift either.
I was going to say I'd be encouraged by Swift, even the fact they couldn't run the ball. He still put up good, even in a standard league, because he got yardage as a receiver and he scored a touchdown. So I'm not sure why you're worried about Swift. And got Pollard, Eckler, Herbert. You'll be fine. Marcus, you're good. This is encouraging. Crypto boy, start on 4, 2-4, rising on the rise. Hey, it's a long season. Sometimes you got to be patient.
Don't quit.
And then another worry about Devontae Sir Boomer benching either Devontae Smith, Devontae Adams, or Puka for Drake London, and we can't stop him.
Well, I mean, that's fair. That we can't. I mean, the part about we can't stop you.
But he wants to be stopped.
Well, here, I'll say this. So, I mean, Adams is the one where I was like, okay, I'm just going to chalk that up to a random game. He took that huge hit. He missed part of the game. Who knows if he was even 100% the rest of the game. They had the backup quarterback playing. Okay, I'm just going to move on. Devonta Smith really frustrated me because everything was there for him to have a huge game, except apparently Devonta Smith, because he got 11 targets, which is by far the team high. By far, like way more than A.J. Brown got. And he only caught 5 of them. Like, how often is Devonta Smith only going to catch 5 of 11 targets? Like, that's it. It's going to be the only time, right? Once a year, and it just happened. Also, I'm not ready to give up on Puka because even though, look, Cooper Kupp is fully back. He's fully Cooper Kupp. He's a top 3 wide receiver rest of the season probably because Justin Jefferson is out for however long.
Top 1 right now.
Yeah, well, it's probably him and Tyreek Hill are pretty much the top 2 rest of the season wide receivers. But Puka is still involved, and they're only throwing to 2 guys. But I'll also say this about Drake London. Go get Drake London. Everybody who, this is not a reason why you can't overreact to things. After a couple of weeks, everybody like Drake London, biggest bust in fantasy. Now Drake London looks awesome, right? He looks awesome. And it wasn't just this week. He's been good for a while. And Desmond Ridder, they're throwing the ball more. His target share is going way up. His first read share is going way up. So I don't think Drake London's a bad play at all. But I'm still not starting him over these guys.
Right. I mean, hey, Drake London definitely big week last week as predicted. But a lot of that's because they played Washington. Again, it's always matchup based. Every week's a different week. But I will tell you, I like Puka a lot this week. I'm not sitting Puka. I'm not worried about either of those other guys. No.
Yeah, I'm not sitting Puka either.
And Kevin wants to know, what's up, Kevin? Started Ferguson over Laporta. I mean, too early to say if it was a good move, but it could be.
Yeah, Laporta didn't have a huge game, so, I mean, there's still a chance. There's still a chance here. If Ferguson scores, you probably won't regret it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you'll completely regret it because, like I said, Laporta didn't have a big week, so I think it's okay. And then I know you can relate to this. Alex B says he's up 23 against his wife. She's got the Dallas defense. Hopefully you're okay. I mean, you're hoping for a big defensive performance.
Yeah, define okay. Like okay, like you really want to win, or okay, like you don't want to sleep on the couch tonight.
That one. I think that one. And then
then yeah, let's better hope.
This is even better. She says because I bet on her players, they busted. That is awesome.
You know what? I actually have a funny story about that. When I first started playing fantasy, and I basically was only in my home league, right? It was just my home league, like, or maybe it was like I would have my home league and my work league, and I cared about those. That was all I cared about, right? Like I didn't have like now I don't even like I wake up Monday morning and I'm like, how did I do this week? Because I have too many leagues, can't keep track. I used to make DraftKings lineups. I would make one DraftKings lineup in the Millionaire Maker, and I would try to get as many of my opponent's players in as possible. Wouldn't even care about like trying to win the million. It was just like, hey, if my opponent goes off this week, at least my DraftKings lineup will also go off. So that's kind of funny that you did that in Underdog. So you're like, let me bet on all my wife's players. That way, if she beats me, at least I make money on Underdog.
That's
I like that strategy. Yeah,
that's a big brain moment, I think, right there. I hadn't thought about that. My wife doesn't play fantasy football, so I don't have to worry about that. All right. Super chat. Joe, what's up? WW, pick up Howell. And then Mason Hunt. Well, Howell if you really need a quarterback, but I don't know. Don't you think the running back's more valuable? But not if it's, I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. But now we heard something today from Kyle Shanahan sounding like Elijah Mitchell might be the starter. I feel like we're going to have another DeMarcado Mason type of situation where everybody drops a bunch of fab on Mason and then it's Elijah Mitchell anyways, or it's some kind of committee, who knows. Hunt is interesting. Hunt's a tough one because when you look at it, it's like, yeah, Hunt got a lot of work, but Jerome Ford still dominated. He still had almost 60% of the running back share here. And when it mattered, when it was late in the game and the game was on the line, it was not Kareem Hunt running the ball anymore. It was not Kareem Hunt anymore. It was Jerome Ford. So I don't want to overreact to one random stuff happens in one random week. Maybe they saw something against the 49ers. They liked what Hunt did. I don't know. But I'm not ready to just jump on the Hunt train. And then Ahmed, again, like, yeah, he's clearly number 2 behind Raheem Mostert, but he's a far number 2 behind Mostert. He did all his damage in garbage time mostly. So,
oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not super excited about any of these guys, to be honest with you. So if you are desperate, I don't even know if Hal's my number 1 streamer this week, though. But I guess if you're desperate at quarterback, get the quarterback first.
He's kind of up there because they play the Giants. I like Derek Carr this week if you need a streamer, but it depends who's available. I mean, if you need a quarterback, obviously you got to prioritize that first. I'm assuming you got somebody who's going to be on bye. I'm not sure.
Or
I'll say this. Ahmed's touchdown, what he did was, like you said, garbage time. It was the fourth quarter, and they were winning. And it was Carolina. I'm not reading into that. And we could see Jeff Wilson back. Kareem Hunt, I'm definitely not reading anything into because what did he do? He had that one touchdown. If you saw that one touchdown, it was a trick play where they completely caught the 49ers off guard. The tight end, the backup tight end, Harrison Bryant, took a direct snap, and they thought he was just going to like sneak it, and then he pitched it to Kareem Hunt. I'm not putting any stock into that being like what Kareem Hunt basically did, and it's because they had a backup quarterback, so they're going to use their running backs more. So this changed my opinion in no way about Kareem Hunt. Mason's a guy I've been in on, and I know it's going to be probably both him and Mitchell. But then I know there's a good chance Mitchell gets hurt and leaves the game because that's what he needs. It's just true. And Mason's been better than Mitchell this year. So I would say Mason for sure is my first priority. But if you need a quarterback, then just, I guess, go Hal. Trone Force traded James Cook for Debo. Interesting.
Latavius Murray now the starter.
I don't think he's the starter, but we did see Latavius Murray get almost as many touches as Cook. I don't think that means it's a starter.
Yeah, I think it's and look, but also, I mean, Damian Harris left that game, so Latavius Murray definitely had to get more work. I think this is a fair deal. I mean, yeah, I think it's fair. I wasn't a big Debo guy this year, and I haven't seen anything to change my mind. Obviously, he got hurt in that game, but yeah. I mean, look, if CMC is out, I mean, that could help Debo in the short term. So,
yeah, if Debo plays, I mean, he's kind of day-to-day too. Got a shoulder thing. We'll see. Yeah. I don't think his is too serious, but with Debo also, you never know. I think it's fine to buy low on Debo. Ashton Aki up by 14, have Pollard against Dak. Jake and Allen. Jake Ferguson, I guess, and
Okay.
Keenan Allen.
Ooh, I don't know here. I don't know
Ooh,
here because I feel like, yeah,
that's a lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot. Good luck. I'm pulling for you. I mean, look, I would love it if. Well, I want Dak to have a nice game tonight too, but I would love it if Pollard had a huge game and won it for you.
I mean, you do definitely have a chance, right? If the
Right.
Cowboys have success running the ball and not so much passing, you have the edge and you're up by 14. Keenan Allen doesn't score. I mean, you do have a shot. I'm not saying you're dead or anything like that. You've got a
Right.
decent shot. You just got to hope things break a certain way. And then he wants to know, worry about Puka and who's worth trading.
I'm not worried about Puka. I think this is kind of like what we were saying when we were talking about Puka earlier in the year. Like he'll still be probably an every week wide receiver too, and that's what it looks like. He looks like one of these guys. Like I would probably treat him similarly to how I treat like Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, T. Higgins. Although I know people have T. Higgins way lower than those guys right now, but I'm talking about like very good wide receiver twos in very good passing offenses.
Yes. Who will
I mean,
be
Cup is
volatile.
going to be the guy, like by a significant margin. But there's still enough here for Puka to be good. There's still enough here for Puka to be good. So, like, yeah, I mean, it would have been cool to trade him when you could have gotten like Jamar Chase or some absolute stud like that. But he's still going to be fantasy relevant. It's not like he's worthless now, even though he had a terrible game. Just understand you're probably going to have more ups and downs now. You're probably going to have more peaks and valleys, whereas before you just had more peaks.
And that's the perfect way to explain the comps there. Talk about Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins. Really good, high upside number two receivers. Number two, meaning on their own team, the number two receiver.
Right.
They might be number one guys in other teams, but they're not. But
Right.
also, they're more of a wide receiver two on fantasy teams for that reason. Huge weekly upside, but also a very low floor.
Yes.
You're just going to have to deal with the volatility. But I will just say again, I think I'm in on a big Puka week this coming week.
Well,
But,
yeah.
well, let's not jump the shark or whatever they say.
Jump the
I don't know
shark.
if I don't know if I use that right.
I don't think
Mary
so.
Jo. No. Okay. Lost Fields. My other QB is on a bye. So do you pick up Howell or Goff?
I think it's got to be Goff. He looked great. I mean, we were a little worried. I mean, we still pretty much said start Goff, right? We still had Goff as a starter in one QB leagues last week, but he wasn't necessarily our favorite start. But he looked good on the road against Tampa Bay. He looked good. So I know it's the Ravens, but I think at this point I got to trust Goff.
And you got to think, and I think this might have something to do with Goff having a really good second half against Tampa. No Monty, right? No Monty, and they had no Gibbs, so they just threw it more. Well, they don't have Monty this week, and even if Gibbs comes back, I don't even know if it matters. So I feel like they're still going to throw it enough against the Ravens, who have been kind of a middle of the road defense, right? It has not been a great Baltimore defense, not bad.
Right.
Like last year, remember the first half of the year, their pass defense was just like one of the worst in the league. And all of a sudden, in the end of the year, the second half, it was the best in the league. I don't know. This year, they just settled for the middle. I would go Goff too. Yeah. We just don't know what we're going to get from Washington any given week. And then roast beef. Will Jacoby still do well without Jimmy G?
Yeah, definitely worried about Jacoby because we did see yesterday when Brian Hoyer came in, he certainly had a bigger like distribution of players he would throw to than Jimmy G. He was throwing to all sorts of random guys, right? He was like throwing to everyone. He didn't care. Like Brian, he'll throw to whoever. But the good news here is it sounds like Jimmy G may only miss a week. So again, don't do anything crazy. Don't drop Jacoby. Don't panic trade him like super low. Don't do anything crazy. Look, maybe this week he's not like a great start. Maybe he's only a start kind of if you need kind of guy this week just because of Brian Hoyer or the QB situation. But going forward, he should be great again.
And I feel better because it's not Aiden O'Connell out there. They're not throwing him out for another start. It's going to be Hoyer, who he's put up decent numbers at times before. I mean, obviously there's a reason he's a backup, but he's capable of getting the ball to his guys. So, yeah, I think he's fine. Just hold tight with Jacoby and you'll be good. All right. Are these people good? Let's try to give some hope to some people. Not false hope, of course. Biggity Brown has CD and Keenan needs 34. Can he do it?
I mean, it's certainly within possibility. I mean, CD and Keenan should both have nice games tonight. Look, CD, a lot of squeaky wheel around CD right now. A lot of squeaky wheel around CD. So I would be very disappointed if CD doesn't have a big game tonight. So I think you certainly have a chance.
Yeah, I think you might be surprised at how good your odds are. Again,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's in your favor right now with that lead because you need both these guys to do well, but it definitely could happen. I mean, this should, on paper, be a fairly high scoring game. So I think that's good. Now, this one, definitely a chance. Scono needs Eckler to score 3 more than CD.
Yeah, I like your chances. I mean, look, I'm not gonna say it's a lock, but if I had to pick, I would pick Eckler to outscore CD.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, now what about my Mixter? Yeah, needs 25 from CD and Herbert.
I mean, look, it's fantasy. You never know, right? I don't want to sit here and say you've got this in the bag, but you should be feeling at least fairly good.
I think so. I think fairly good. Robert, now here's a tough one. Up by 3/4 of a point right now. Need Lamb to do more than Eckler, so kind of a flip of the other one.
I mean, yeah, like I said, if I had to bet, I would bet on Eckler, but it's not out of the question. I mean, it's not out of the question.
No, not at all. Now here's an actual decision that might matter. Bruce Berdicia got Herbert down 25 between Palmer, Johnston, or Gallup. Who would you start? Now the opponent does have Lamb, so it may not matter too much, but if you had to pick one.
I mean, I still got to go Palmer. I don't love Palmer this week. And look, Gallup could catch like a long touchdown or something, but like Palmer's a guy I feel good about scoring actually scoring the most points out of these guys. And you need every point you can get. So I'm just going to go with Palmer.
Yeah, to me, Johnson is definitely not an equation out of these three. Go Palmer and just hope that, you get that Herbert Palmer connection, and there you go. All right, now back to the Super Chats. Yuya Oda, Kareem Hunt, worth picking up. You think so?
I mean, yeah, sure, I guess. I mean, I'm not, but you never know. And like I wouldn't spend any fab on him or anything. I don't know if you're in a fab league, but look, if you have an open bench spot, and you're like, I don't have anything to do with it, then sure, put Kareem Hunt there.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you heard what I said earlier about Kareem Hunt not reading anything into the stat line, because if y'all didn't see it, that touchdown he scored was on a trick play.
Yeah.
This was just a weird game. Obviously, Deshaun Watson didn't play. Jerome Ford clearly looked like the better runner, especially at the end of the game. He's still a starter. So I'm not picking up Kareem Hunt. I mean, I get this is going to be a heavy week for buys, and there's injuries still. So if you need somebody, I mean, he's not the worst running back out there, but he's not a guy I would want to play. And then let's follow that up with Bobby Brook. What's up, Bobby? Thoughts on Deshaun Watson?
I don't want to be overly optimistic here, but I think we see him this week. We did have a report yesterday, I think from Ian Rappaport, saying that, or maybe it was Kevin Stefanski saying they feel pretty confident that they'll have him back this week. So I think worst case we see him next week, but I think we see him this week.
Yeah, I'm not as worried. I mean, I'm still not fully confident that I want him as my starting quarterback rest of season. But, if he comes back, he avoided San Francisco. Not sure if that was the plan, but whatever.
Maybe.
He missed that game. He should be fine. So I guess if you have him, you can roll him out. You might need to this week. And then Kirby Dardar. 10 team, 2 receiver, 2 flex, 2 and 4. Got Tua, Chuba, Eckler, Keenan, Kupp, Ingram, Ridley, Ford, Rice, Godwin, and JT. IR where Aaron Jones. Hopefully, Aaron Jones plays this week. Got JJ for Nico. Interesting. Okay, got offered Kittle and St. Brown and Jacobs for Eckler and Ingram.
I mean, I think you have to do this.
I think you have to take this. Yeah.
I think you have to take this. I mean, Ingram, okay, yeah, whatever. Ingram, Kittle, whatever. Look, Kittle went back to being like terrible again.
Yeah. But hey, no CMC and maybe no Debo. This could be a Kittle week.
Well, I mean,
maybe
they didn't have Debo for almost the whole game, and they didn't have CMC for like half, and it still wasn't Kittle. I mean, but like Kittle's one of those guys that he'll have those random weeks where he pops off. Maybe he will. But you're getting St. Brown and Jacobs for Eckler, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge overpay for Eckler. And look, I know Jacobs didn't have a good game, but Josh Jacobs, he had 20-something carries, and like he's getting ridiculous volume, just insane volume. So, and St. Brown is great. St. Brown's awesome. So I think you have to take this.
Yeah. You do have to take it. The tight ends, even though we'll say, okay, it's about even, maybe like Kittle better, whatever. Okay. Tight ends not really affecting this deal. You're getting a starting running back to put in place of Eckler, and you're getting St. Brown. This improves your receiving core. And look, you have now JT and Jacobs, right? Yeah, JT and Jacobs. That's really good. And then Keenan, Kupp. And you got JJ waiting to come back for the end of the season. Yeah, I think you take this deal. All right, let's see.
I did just want to say real quick, we did get an update from Sean McVay about Kyren Williams and Ronnie Rivers. He said they are going to be out for a little bit. So they're still working through exactly how long they will be out. But he said the initial prognosis looks like it's going to be challenging for those guys in the immediate future. So we already know Ronnie Rivers is probably going to miss multiple weeks. I mean,
yeah,
that doesn't sound too good for Kyren either, as far as like, only missing a game.
Right. That's not day to day. That sounds more like week to week. And that usually means more than 1 week. So, all right. Fire up Zach Evans, all the fab. No, don't do that. Don't. I was kidding. But do pick him up if you can. Eric Fortis, CMC, Gibbs, Moore, or Barkley, JT, and Devontae Smith. Man, y'all are doing some blockbusters.
Yeah. CMC, Gibbs, and Moore. I'm not sure which Moore. DJ. I guess DJ Moore. It's got to be DJ Moore, right? Like,
I would hope so.
Barkley, JT, Devonta Smith. Look, Barkley, another guy, man. Like 24 carries, 5 targets last night.
Whew. I know. Good thought. And then just to clarify, he's saying he's down bad with Pollard needing 35.
Then you probably, if you're getting the Barkley, JT, Devonta Smith side, I think you almost have to take it, because if you're 1-5, you can't go 2 weeks, potentially 2 to 3 weeks without CMC. So Barkley is a capable CMC replacement. JT way over Gibbs. Even with Montgomery, we didn't talk about Montgomery, but even with Montgomery probably out for the next few weeks, at least till their bye, week 9. What are we really expecting? Jahmyr Gibbs is going to suddenly just be a workhorse? Probably not. And then look, with Justin Fields potentially, maybe his season maybe being over, we don't know yet. That's going to be a big hit for DJ Moore. So give me the Barkley side.
Yeah, all of a sudden DJ Moore looks a lot more like Devontae Smith in terms of risk versus potential reward. I don't think Justin Fields' season is over necessarily, but he could miss multiple weeks if there's something with that thumb. If it's, what is it, Tyson Bagent? Is that what it is? Tyson Bagent at quarterback for like multiple weeks. This might be the time to trade DJ Moore. Just saying.
Well, they're saying it's a fractured thumb, and they're trying to debate if he needs surgery or not.
Right.
The hope is that he can like strengthen it enough to have enough grip strength to throw a football. But if he doesn't and he has to have surgery, that's probably the end of his season. So you definitely have to at least account for that possibility. So just give me the Bark. There's a lot of risk on that left side. Just give me the Barkley side.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I would just say I like the right side better, just anyways, in a vacuum. Even if CMC doesn't miss any time, I think I still prefer the right side. What are we waiting for Gibbs? Honestly, is this going to be the week where he breaks out and gets 25 carries? No. So good time to trade DJ Moore. So if you get in the right side wins. And then I don't know if this is a thing. You tell me if you remember. Is this a thing? The return of the cookie, the YouTube Great Fortnite cookie. All
okay.
Right. Just wants to know, dropped in how because he's balling while he's watching. I just want to say I appreciate the multitasking. How bad is Jimmy G injury? Doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, it actually sounds like he may have dodged a bullet. They're saying he may only miss a week, maybe 2. So that's good.
Yeah. Brian, what is up, Brian? All right. Up by 20, have Dak versus Pollard and Eckler. All right. We have comforting words.
Well, look, if you think about it, let's say Eckler goes for 20. You just need Dak to outscore Pollard. That's not a big ask. It's not a big ask. I certainly like your chances better than last week when you were relying on Daniel Jones. Was that last week?
Yeah. It was Daniel Jones needed like 34 points or something.
Yeah. It was like, yeah. I certainly like your chances better than that.
There you go. Up by 20. Look, let's just put it this way. You're already in the lead. The other guy has to work to catch up to you.
That's right.
And this should be a battle of the passing game, right? So I think it'll be fine. I don't think Eckler gets more than 2 points max. All right. Age Easy down 58 with Herbert Allen. Can it be done? Yes. Will it be done?
Those are 2 big games, right? Those are 2 ceiling games because you're talking about like probably 30 from Allen and close to 30 from Herbert. Yeah, they both need to hit their ceiling for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'd feel better if it wasn't the Cowboys defense. It can technically be done. Let's just keep it at that. Raw WB just sold London for Devontae.
Okay, that's a good trade. That's a good trade. Look, I have Drake London on the buy low video tomorrow because I feel like people are still really low on him. Maybe they're not. Maybe after seeing this trade, they're not. But maybe they're just lower on Adams because oh my gosh. Yeah, I think that's going to work out well for you in the long run.
Yeah, that's man. So this week, I guess Devontae Adams is the guy that people are just irrationally selling for peanuts because
I guess I should have put Devontae Adams on the buy low. I didn't know people were panicking so much on Devontae Adams.
Apparently. London, remember the guy who was being dropped after 1 week.
Right?
Like, that's it. That's enough. I've seen enough. 1 game, you're done. And now we're trading him for one of the best receivers in the game. All right. Let's see. Who else needs some hope? E111 need 13 non-PPR points from Eckler. I think that's doable. I mean, you're going to need a touchdown.
That is definitely doable. Even in non-PPR, Eckler can do that.
Yeah. I mean, if that's all you need, I think you have a good chance. And then, hey, Amy, 1 this week. Very nice. PPR, if I have Palmer that has not played and I want to grab London on waivers, that's right. Remember, she was saying London was out there. Will it let me? It should, right? Depends on the ball.
It should. Well, no, because London's played, so no, it shouldn't.
Oh, yeah. Palmer hasn't played, but London has.
You can drop Palmer, but not for London. But I will say this. Well, no, don't do that. Yeah, it won't let you because London's already played.
If you're on sleeper, you can pick up players that haven't played or drop players that haven't. Like I picked up, and don't question me on this. I picked up Darius Slayton before last night because looking ahead, because I had like dead weight on my roster. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to need a flex because of buys and whatever. So I picked him up just because I could. and then I'm putting my waiver claims in like after last night.
All right.
So it did let me do that, but yeah, I don't know if it'll let you grab London. So,
But Amy, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't we tell you on like Saturday to go pick up Drake London?
I think so.
I think we
Yeah, it
did.
must have been Saturday.
Like Drake London and T. Higgins, I think were both of them. We were like, go pick those guys up. So my
Yeah.
question to you, Amy, is why don't you have Drake London?
Good point. So you waited now. Everyone wants to pick him up because he had a huge game. So
Yep.
you can't wait too long. That's why even talking about those guys, the backups, those stashes, you never know because these things happen. Got another Palmer question from Chris Pena. Palmer or Everett?
Well, I don't know if is Parham playing tonight. I saw he was like doing something pregame. He had like a wrap on his hand. But you know what? I don't think it
He's
matters.
questionable, but I don't think it matters to me.
Yeah, I'm still going Palmer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's Palmer anyways, because Everett, he's just not involved enough. The targets aren't there. Palmer will get them. I know it's a terrible matchup, which is why I was saying no to Palmer versus a bunch of other receivers. But if you're asking about the tight end in the same offense, I think you got to go Palmer. Either way, I think whoever gets the touchdown, if anyone, that's the play. Steven, 5-1 despite Bourne, like you played against Kendrick Bourne. Calm drop. I love it. We've gone from rage dropping to calm dropping him. That's a new thing too. Steven, you've coined a couple of new terms. What was the other one he did last? It wasn't rage dropping. It was something else.
Yeah, it was rage dropping. That was somebody else. Though. I can't remember who that was. I think was it, or maybe it was Steven.
It was Steven, but he didn't because rage drop is already a thing. It was a different thing. You have to remind me. Okay. So he's calmly dropping him to make room for Deontay. Smart.
Yes.
Dallas D with a week 7 bye. Would you drop either Wandale or McLaughlin for a defense, or would you drop the Dallas defense?
I would drop the Dallas defense. I mean, especially if they get lit up again tonight. Like they're missing Leighton Vander Esch on IR, Trevon Diggs out for the season. This is not the same defense we saw early in the year. It's still a good defense, but I'm not expecting those monster games. And they have a tough upcoming schedule as far as like the offenses they face. So I would just drop Dallas D.
Yeah, and even though it's possible, like I said, they're coming up with a bye. Like probably nobody's rushing out to pick up a team on bye just to stash a defense. They could, but oh well. Then they'll probably drop their defense, which they thought was good enough to start for 6 weeks. So you replace that defense with probably a decent defense. I think it's fine. Don't worry about holding on to the Dallas defense. I think it'll be okay. Ali, what is up? Trying to get a running back for one of these receivers: Cooper, London, Flowers. Also have Lamb and Keenan, but not trading those guys. Got Bijan, got Hall, Spears, Edwards. So who would you go for and who would you trade? Cooper, London, Flowers. Would you like? Well, I know what I'd like, but what do you think? What's doable?
I mean, doable right now is probably London or Flowers. I just feel like Cooper is still very, very undervalued right now. Very undervalued. I'm not sure. Like, again, I'm not. I mean, look, we just saw London for Devontae Adams trade. So maybe people are all on board London again. I don't know. I didn't think so. I thought he was still pretty low valued. And according to this trade value chart, he's kind of around. I guess he's moved up because he's kind of around guys like Lockett. But I mean, that's not really saying much. He's not valued very highly. So it'd be either London or Flowers. Don't go for Mixon, please. Please. That does not solve your problem.
It's not an upgrade.
Swift or Etienne would be great, but good luck. Look, maybe Swift because maybe people are a little nervous. Barkley certainly, but I mean, you're going to need more than London or Flowers.
Yeah, that's the problem. The time to buy on Barkley was last week. He came back. He played a full set of snaps. He got almost 100 yards. So, yeah, the window is kind of closed for Barkley for a player like this.
Yeah.
Etienne, sure, it'd be great to have Etienne, but I don't think any of these receivers gets it done. It would have to be a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
So I do think, though, look, we just heard from somebody saying, well, Swift, I'm worried about Swift. He had a bad game. Like, he didn't. He actually wound up with like a lot of fantasy points, but people will look just at, he ran for 19 yards or whatever it was. Probably not, but maybe if you got somebody who needs a receiver and is good at running back, maybe London for Swift. I mean, I would love to do that, but try it.
I think you could definitely, yeah. I mean, you never know. You never know.
You never know.
I think you could definitely get a guy like Aaron Jones, though, or Brian Robinson.
Oh, yeah. You should definitely be able to get a guy like Aaron Jones. The question is over, what Brees Hall's is number 2. Is that an upgrade?
I mean, no, it's not an upgrade, but it gives you, at least it gives you some depth.
Yeah.
Because Brees Hall is on a bye this week, so he's going to get you 0 points.
This is true. So you do need somebody. I mean, if you can get Barkley or Etienne for any of those receivers, go for it. Wouldn't count on it. Swift would be my most realistic target that I would want. You could get Brian Robinson for one of those guys, but again, that's not a huge upgrade. Ice Cold Jones has Lamb and Eckler, but needs 15 points.
You can only start one of these guys?
Oh, I was gonna say you have to pick between Lamb and Eckler. Okay.
I mean, you gotta start Eckler. It's gotta be Eckler. But I mean,
yeah.
How are you only able to start one of these guys? That's my question.
Yeah, that's what confused me. You said I have Lamb and Eckler. Like, yeah, okay, but you can only pick one. It's got to be Eckler. I mean, 15 points. Your opponent has Keenan. I mean, it's possible. All right, Joe. Got AR and Fields, or you did and won't. Received a trade request to give HN for Goff and Jones. It feels like desperation trade.
Just stream QB. Man, that's pretty brutal. You had Anthony Richardson and Fields. That is pretty brutal.
Yeah, I don't know. And even Goff, like, sure, Goff could be a guy you start low in QB1 the rest of the season. It's not like you're getting, Pat Mahomes here, or Josh Allen. So, nah, it's not enough. A guy who's always hurt, and Aaron Jones, and then Goff, I don't think it's enough. Especially now we know HN is going to come back when he's eligible to come back. So that's even more reason to sell high, if at all. That's what it was. That's right. Steven reminded me. He rage grabbed somebody last week.
KJ
That was a new one.
You rage grabbed KJ Bourne?
Yeah. Oh, Osborne. Okay.
Oh, KJ Osborne. But I guess because Justin Jefferson, you rage grab. Oh, that's right. Because I remember now. He wanted to trade for Justin Jefferson. The guy wouldn't trade him, so he rage grabbed KJ Osborne. That's right. And then for his troubles, got almost nothing.
Gotcha. All right. That's what it was. Rage grabbed. So we can rage grab and we can calm drop. Okay. I think I like that better. I like that. Any words of comfort, thoughts and prayers for Robbie? 40 from Eckler?
Ooh, yeah.
Good luck, Robbie. Good luck.
Good luck. That's all I got. Good luck.
Timothy, down 25, got Herbert, Pollard, and the Cowboys, but the other guys got Eckler.
Yeah, but I think this could be close because, I mean, Herbert could get you 25. Let's say Herbert gets you to 25. Pollard versus Eckler could be close. And then you do have the Cowboys D. I think this could be close. I think this is going to be close. It's going to be a close one.
Yeah, because you got 3 going. This is definitely going to make you sweat a little bit. I mean, this will be a fun one to watch. And then I like Royland apologizing in advance for the question because it's about defense. Cleveland and the Jets are on waivers. Who would you prefer? I know, but okay. You got these choices. Who do you like better rest of the season, Cleveland or Jets?
I mean, they're both good, but Cleveland is by far the best defense in the NFL right now, like by far. And they just shut down the 49ers. So, and Cleveland actually plays this week and the Jets don't. And Cleveland's already had their bye. So, for those reasons, I'm going to say Cleveland.
There you go. And looking ahead, because if you're thinking rest of the season, talk playoffs. Week 15, the Bears. Week 16, the Texans. Okay, that's actually not a good matchup these days. And then week 17, the Jets. I like that. So I'm going to go with Cleveland too. All right, and then Humberto, welcome back. Up 46, but the guy has basically the entire Chargers offense. I only have the Dallas kicker. I mean, you're definitely rooting for the Cowboys, whether you're a fan or not.
Yeah, I still think, I mean, let's say the kicker gets you 10. That's 56. That's still a lot of points. I mean, yeah, it'll be a sweat. It'll be a sweat for sure. You're definitely a Cowboy fan tonight, though. That's for sure.
That's right. Pablo's not so optimistic. But hey, you definitely do have a chance. Remember, you're up. He needs to come back and make it happen, or at least Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen need to make it happen. So you'll be good. I'll just say this is the good thing about playing in like 15 different leagues is I don't root for anybody because I have players on every team for every league. So it's like it doesn't matter who wins or which team because it's either going to help me or hurt me in one of my leagues. So.
Yeah. The only time that's frustrating though is like when fantasy playoffs roll around and then you have like, because right now it's like, okay, if I lose, if some of my teams lose, some of my teams win, whatever, we roll on to next week and we let it sort itself out. But when you get to the fantasy playoffs, and let's say you have like 6 or 7 or 8 teams in the playoffs, now you're really focused on every matchup, and you're looking at one team, you're like, well, I need this guy, and this guy to go off. But then you look at another team, it's like, well, now I play against that guy, and that guy. So, like, do I really want him to go off? That's when it starts to get like.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I just look at my lineup, I set it, and I forget it, and then see what happens the next day.
Thing, yes.
It's just easier. Okay, Carl lost Kyron. Who knows how long? Still got Swift and Rashawn, has DJ Moore, so starting to panic. With a number 2 waiver priority. Who do we like here in order? He says to rate KJ Osborne, Latavius Murray, Devin Singletary. That's interesting. Although they're on bye this week. Craig Reynolds, Zach Evans.
It's actually close for me between Reynolds and Evans.
I mean, he's saying immediate start. Well, Singletary's not playing this week. So there's that. And then I think to me, Reynolds is the one who I think for this week.
I was going to say Evans, but I do like Reynolds too because it's the Lions. And it looks like, the thing Dan Campbell said today, and Dan Campbell is Mr. like, no poker face at all. He basically, I forget the exact quote, but he basically said something to the degree of like, yeah, it's probably going to be more than a week for David Montgomery. They have the bye in week 9. My guess is we don't see David Montgomery till week 11. Or sorry, week 10. Week 10.
But also Gibbs is probably coming back, it sounds like.
Yeah, Gibbs probably coming back. Look, we know one thing about Sean McVay. It doesn't matter if the running back is good or not. Right? No, it really doesn't. It really Ronnie Rivers is nothing special as a running back, but I promise you, if Ronnie Rivers came out of that game healthy, Ronnie Rivers would get all the touches this week. All of them.
Yep.
He's nothing special, but he would get all the touches. I think Zach Evans is okay. Like, I don't think he's like an elite prospect, but I thought he had some good traits. I don't think Royce Freeman is it. I think I'm going Evans. I think I would go Evans 1, Reynolds 2 out of these guys.
I will say, though, go back to his roster. He has Kyron, so it might make more sense to have Evans. So that way, if you're missing one, you got the other. So, yeah, Evans is probably just going to be the guy this week. So I like either one. It's got to be one of those two, though.
Yeah, one of those two for sure.
I wouldn't even bother. If you had number 2 claim, I wouldn't even bother with KJ Osborne. I mean, you need running back help. And Latavius, nah. Python, as always, just dropping some nice words. Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see you.
Let's go with Oscar. Super chat. Oscar Melendez with wide receiver combo for Barkley. So we got Pittman, Wilson, Higgins, and Watson.
Well, I mean, Pittman did just come off a huge game, and Garrett Wilson looked pretty good, and we know people want to believe. I don't know if either of those guys straight up is enough for Barkley, though.
No, I mean, he's saying combo. I think you're right. It would have to be two of them. I wouldn't want to give up Higgins and Watson. I think if I had to give up one,
I think you could do Pittman and Wilson and get Barkley.
Pittman and Wilson, because of their quarterback situations for both of them.
Yeah, I think you could do Pittman and Wilson and get Barkley right now.
Yeah.
The nice thing for Barkley was, apart from like a couple of nice runs really towards the very end of the game, he didn't do a whole lot. So I don't feel like people are like fully bought back in on him yet, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, try Pittman and Wilson. See what happens. Both coming off a pretty good game. So, and then Chris Pina, trying to get ahead of week 7. Smart idea. Drop Judy to add Jordan Love. He's got Cousins, so he's doing the biting nails thing.
I don't know. Look, I think it's funny. Like maybe like after that week 1, everybody like rage drop Drake London. I haven't heard anybody rage drop Judy. Like Judy's been horrendous. But I don't know if I want to drop Judy. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I mean,
he's definitely droppable. I mean, apparently for some reason, I don't know why, some people still think he has trade value. If you can trade him for anything that's a have value, sure, do it. But I don't.
Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't hold on to him just to hold on to him.
Yeah,
I mean,
go for it.
What are we waiting for? It's really, he's a guy who's really just getting by on name value alone.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So I'm okay with it. Somebody just dropped Jahmyr Gibbs in a money league.
What?
Some E111 saying somebody just dropped Gibbs, and this is a big money league. And then they saw Monty get hurt, and then they're like, "Oh, great! What did I do?"
Go get him. Go get him.
And even though we know, like at this point, Gibbs probably not going to be a league winner, but he's usable and he's got some upside still. Like we can't just give up on him because he's been bad for 5 weeks, you know?
Exactly. He's still a rookie. Like they haven't had their bye yet. I still remember a couple years ago when a young rookie wide receiver by the name of Amon-Ra St. Brown was doing absolutely nothing. Like, not even on the radar. And then they came back from the bye, and all of a sudden, Amon-Ra St. Brown won people leagues. You can't give up on these rookie players already. At least not the ones that have potential and are involved. You can give up on the guys that, like, aren't even getting snaps. You can give up on those guys.
Right. They're not even sniffing the field. Okay, that's different. But, like, I would say this. It's not like he was, any kind of fantasy relevant necessarily, but we did see after the bye, JSN in Seattle got a little bump. He actually got 4 catches, 49 yards, I think. He actually caught some passes beyond the line of scrimmage. And
he played 72% of the snaps.
Playing more snaps. He was running almost as many routes. Now, like, I know DK Metcalf left the game for a little bit. That was like one series. That's not even the reason. So it's going to take a little time. Sometimes it actually takes a little time. So yeah, don't drop guys like this. Now, maybe this time to drop Dotson.
Yeah, I think he only got 1 target and he dropped it, which is very frustrating. Yeah, Dotson has been awful this year. Yeah, you can drop Dotson for sure.
Have you noticed that and I'm not talking about these undrafted free agents that are rookies or these guys who don't play at all anyways, but you notice that all the preseason studs are doing the worst,
Oh,
right? Kenny Pickett and John Dotson, Irv Smith, all these guys are like dominating in the exhibition games or just doing nothing.
I've said it for years. You don't want guys getting preseason hype. Guys getting preseason hype is a lot of times the kiss of death. Like, look, the Steelers were going to have this new awesome offense. The Commanders, the foul, like, oh man, oh, these offenses look so good in the preseason. Oh, they're going to be now it's like, yeah.
Nah, you can drop Dotson. Definitely can drop Dotson. Let's see. Got to start sig question for tonight. Let's see. This would be $Doge AMC Warrior S percentage. I hope I said your name right. Start Josh Palmer or Michael Gallup for 4 points.
If you only need 4 points, just put Josh Palmer in. I feel like I don't want to say I don't want to say anybody like Josh Palmer is a lock, but I feel like he's almost a lock for 4 points. Gallup could always do a 0 point night. So go with Palmer.
Yeah. Palmer's the number 2 guy there in target wise. And Gallup, I don't think really. I mean, Jake Ferguson probably gets more targets than Gallup. He's close. Gallup might have a little higher ceiling because of the way he's used, but I'm definitely going Palmer if you just need a few points. You should feel pretty good that you can get 4 points. Speaking of Rage, we have the Rage Ninja.
Okay.
Sounds like a good movie. If CD Lamb does good tonight, what kind of trade value could I get from him? So look for running back depth.
I mean, he'll be treated like a top 5 to 10 wide receiver if he does well tonight, because that's kind of how people were treating him before the season. And look, I'm generalizing here, but from my experience, this is how a lot of people think. If he was a guy that people really liked before the season and he's doing well, that means he's that guy. If he was a guy people really liked before the season and he's not, it means he's a bust. If he was a guy that people really liked before the season, started slow, and now is doing it, it means he's that guy. Like, this is just how people think. Most people. This is how they think. It's like, that's it. Like, it's very simple. It's very like, what have you done for me lately? So people will just go back to thinking like if Dak plays well and the Cowboys look good and CD does well, they'll just be like, oh, okay, CD, top 5 wide receiver rest season, which, look, I feel the same way, but that's because I've always felt that. Even when CD was struggling, I still felt that. So you should certainly be able to get a running back like Saquon Barkley, some maybe even Bijan Robinson now, because remember, Bijan Robinson, after like the first 3 or 4 weeks, oh my gosh, best run. Is he already the best? No joke. These were actual takes after like week 4. Is Bijan Robinson already the best running back in the NFL? 2 weeks later, it's like, oh man, what a bust. This guy's a bust. He's a bust. These are actual takes. These are actual, not mine. These are actual takes I've seen. So you might even be able to get like a Bijan Robinson type.
Yeah. If CD goes off, it'll just validate what, not just people thought, but is pretty much true. He's one of the elite receivers in the game. So you should be able to get a for sure RB1, like one of those, no doubt, you have to start him every week RB1s.
Yeah.
At the minimum.
Yeah, minimum.
And if he doesn't go off, don't just sell him for like an RB2 type. Like, oh, well, I just need to get something. I'm desperate at running back. I'll take Joe Mixon. Like, no, don't do that.
No, please no. Please no. Joe Mixon.
Maybe bad example, but, like, oh, well, I'll take, Brian Robinson or Aaron Jones. Like, no, that's so dumb.
Let me just, I get plenty wrong. But I have 3 years in a row now where I have said a perceived elite running back is complete dust and have been told I'm an idiot. And I've been right 3 years in a row. It was Ezekiel Elliott 3 years ago. It was guys like, I guess Alvin Kamara hasn't been good. He's just getting the volume. Like Dalvin Cook last year. And this year I was saying Joe Mixon is dust. And people are like, you're crazy. Well, do I look crazy so far? Because he looks pretty dusty to me.
Even against Seattle, couldn't really do much of anything. So, We got some super chats now pouring in. Ashton Aki have the Rams, D, and Cowboys. Which to drop?
I mean, well, drop the Rams. I mean, I don't know who do the Rams play next week.
Let me look ahead. I think I would have remembered.
Or
They play
this
the
week.
Steelers, which is pretty good.
I mean, look, you might want to keep the Rams. I don't know, but they're not like. Did they do anything this week? I mean, I know they played the Cardinals, but
Yeah, well, the problem is the next week the Cowboys are off, so I guess you're going to need the Rams or some defense.
well, then drop the Cowboys. Look,
Yeah.
I'm not holding two defenses. Look, if the Cowboys go nuts tonight, then don't drop the Cowboys. Maybe they just are that defense, but they didn't go nuts last week, right? They got torched by the 49ers. If they get torched again by the Chargers tonight, you can just drop the Cowboys.
There you go. I mean, it's probably no reason you need to make a move right now anyways, so
Right.
wait and see. But again, you can't play the Cowboys next week, so you're going to need a defense. I don't know what else you got out there. If your best option is like the Giants, so maybe just keep the Rams. Joker. What's up, Joker? Who's the better hold, KJ or Dobbs?
Oh, definitely Dobbs. Definitely Dobbs. I didn't even really like KJ Osborne this week. It was like, okay, fine. If you have to start him, go ahead. But after this week, no thanks. Dobbs.
Yeah, Osborne is a guy we knew would get a little too much hype just because he's one of the Justin Jefferson replacements. But as we saw, Justin Jefferson does actually matter to this offense. Man, that was probably the ugliest game, just the most disappointing from a fantasy standpoint. It turns out, like, oh, the defenses are bad. The offenses could put up points, But it turns out when you have two bad teams, then you just get bad results. They're just both bad. Yeah, that game was ugly. It's Dobbs. I like Dobbs, and that's why I mentioned him also as a waiver wire pickup. If he's out there, pick him up. Joe is too dope. I'm up like 5 points. My opponent has Josh Kelly.
Okay. It's funny you say that because in one of my leagues, we're down 32 points. We have Dak and CD, and our opponent has Josh Kelly, and I had to like triple take. And I'm like, there's no way anybody is starting Josh Kelly. But apparently our opponent is not the only one starting Josh Kelly tonight. Yeah. I mean, look, I hope you pull it out. Josh Kelly should not get. Has Josh Kelly even gotten outside of week 1? Has Josh Kelly even gotten 5 points? Even when he was the guy, did he ever even reach 5 points? I don't think so.
Yeah. Even when he was the only running back, I don't think he even. Well, one game I know he didn't. He had like 11 carries for 13 yards or something ridiculous.
I don't think he did.
You know what would be really sad is if you look at your opponent. I would almost feel bad for them, even though you want to take the win. If like they somehow had Austin Eckler on the bench because they didn't know he was playing, that would be like tragedy.
Okay,
look,
he did.
Never
he
know.
got 6.5 points against the Raiders, but that was the Raiders. And he also had 17 carries that game. He's not getting 17 carries. No, I looked, and our opponent, like, they did have Zeke on the bench who scored that touchdown because Stevenson left for a little bit, but they had Latavius Murray on the bench. That's it. That's it. They don't have anybody else. So I guess they're really rolling with Josh Kelly, and we somehow still might lose to Josh Kelly. If Dak and CD don't have a nice game tonight. Oh, and we have the Dallas kicker, so we really need Dallas to have a good game in that one.
So you look, I mean, vultures exist. You can't say that Kelly might not get a 2-yard touchdown run when they get down near the goal line or something. It could happen. So I can't say you have it in the bag because it's 5 points. But God, man, I guess if I had to put money, I'd put it on your side, just also because you're too dope. So like, hope you win. Think you'll win. Yeah, just if Josh Kelly gets the ball every time if he does get the ball, just turn away.
Yeah. Or maybe not because he might get tackled for like 5-yard loss. And then you're like, now my lead's even bigger.
Yeah, or fumble it or something. All right. And this is when the party gets started. Roberto is here. What's up, Roberto?
What's up, Roberto? Where you been?
Yeah, it's like been too long. Yes. There you go. See the likes of 200. It is Monday night. Like we get it. It's a little slower because the game's going to start soon. So just say this. If you got any last second, either start sit questions, you want to get ahead of things, which is a smart idea for waivers, trades, whatever. We're here for a little bit longer. So let us know. I think it's a good time right now to also get back to one more time. Remind you, you still got a little bit of time left. If you missed it at the beginning, talked about this. If you haven't tried Underdog yet, this is a great time to do it. Just make sure you use promo code Endgame because you get a deposit match, 100%, up to $500. And there's a new customer special. It's Dak Prescott tonight. Just needs a yard, and you can take that higher, and you can pair with anything else. For example, if you don't think Quentin Johnson will get 32 and a half yards, see, I told you, you influenced the algorithm, did you?
Wasn't it when we first did this, wasn't it with like 35 and a half? It's already dropped 3 yards.
Was it 35? I don't know if it was 33 or 34. I don't know. It was definitely above 32.
It was definitely above that. Yeah, it was definitely above that.
And see, that's the thing. Is you always wanted to monitor and see, because it adjusts. You see the little blue arrows there. See, it's changing right now as we speak. But yeah, you can do in-game bets. The constantly updated live. But if you're new to Underdog, take that. Dak Prescott just needs a yard special. Go higher. Combine it with anything else. Just make sure you use the promo code to take advantage, and they'll have another contest, I'm sure, this coming week, probably more 100K Sundays, just to give away more money. All right, here's a good question. Adam Kelly, are Pitts in London really back? That's a good question to ask. You called the Pitts game.
They sure seem back. I mean, I think the encouraging thing here isn't just London and Pitts, it's the passing game. They're throwing it. They have not been a run heavy team recently. They are throwing it quite a bit. And Desmond Ritter's thrown for over 300 yards each of the last 2 games. So got to feel good right now. Got to feel good about them for sure.
Yeah, the only thing I don't feel good about is the way that game ended for Atlanta. I mean, every time they looked, they cut back. Every time Desmond Ridder turned the ball over, or that time it was like 4th down, they didn't convert, and they just immediately pan over to Arthur Smith, and he's just like he's like, he does not feel great about what's going on out there. But I mean, they don't really have a choice right now. So I still like them. I know these guys are going to be undervalued during the preseason, and I felt like they were undervalued. Of course, people were dropping them, which is ridiculous. By the way, just to remind you, my $24 bid paid off. Got Kyle Pitts points on my team.
Yeah, that's so frustrating. So frustrating.
Yes. Yeah, he is. This is exactly right. He's going to be hit or miss. I mean, but how many tight ends are not hit or miss besides Travis Kelce? All of them. George Kittle has hit once and missed 5 times. Dallas Goedert was okay last week, hit big the week before, but for 4 straight games, he did nothing. I mean, that's just the tight end position, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Even Mark Andrews had like 2 really good games and 2 kind of mediocre games. It's just tight end. It's just tight end.
Yeah, I think expectations for him are a little too high.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I know. I think people expect like Travis Kelce games from him.
Then what about this at tight end? Ferguson, he says he's down by 8.
I mean, look, if he scores, even if he doesn't score, I mean, assuming PPR, even if he doesn't score, I think this is within his range for sure.
Yeah, as long as it's full PPR, because he will get targeted. He should be able to get at least, I would think, 4 or 5 catches against the Chargers. Yeah, I think so. So I feel pretty good. I think 8 is doable. All right, Roberto, let's get the spiciness here. What is our waiver wire priority from number 1 to 6? I mean, okay, we know you play in 12-man leagues, PPR, so let's just assume, who's your favorite first couple of picks? I guess the question is, we talked about this earlier, right? Guys like Craig Reynolds, Jordan Mason, these injury fill-ins. Are you going all in, or Zach Evans? Are you going those guys first because they're running backs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it depends who's still out there, but I'm going to assume you're in competitive leagues where, everybody we talked about is mostly gone. So I would probably do Zach Evans 1, Craig Reynolds 2. Just because my worry with the 49ers is, like, do we see some kind of split backfield? Do we see more Mitchell? Also, is CMC only out a week, and then you just have handcuffs again? Whereas it sounds like Montgomery, I feel. I mean, I don't want to use the word confident, but because that's not the right word when you're talking about somebody who's hurt. But I feel it sounds like he won't be back till at least week 10. So at least you could have a few weeks of Craig Reynolds. And now it's sounding, like saying a guy has an ankle sprain and just an ankle sprain is like, okay, that's weird. I mean, we've seen guys like Barkley miss a few weeks, Eckler missed 4. Like I think we see Kyron and Ronnie Rivers miss a few weeks too, which will open the door for Evans. And I did like it. Evans wasn't one of my favorite prospects, but I certainly liked some things that he did. I don't think he's horrible. So I think I would go Evans 1, Reynolds 2. Then maybe one of the 49ers ones. I don't know who I prefer.
I mean, I did like Evans during the preseason. I thought he landed in a great situation, and maybe now he's got the opportunity. I'm gonna have to go Evans first because, like you said, it sounds like both those guys are gonna miss at least one, if not multiple weeks. So I think Evans. I like Jordan Mason. I'm not worried about Mitchell because he's a guy who just can't stay healthy, and he hasn't actually been that good this year when he has played. Mason has been good, and he's on the 49ers. Like I want the 49ers 1A or 1B, whatever he is, running back. Just like I would want whoever's the Dolphins, number 2 running back. It's the same type of system. So I'm gonna have to put Mason at least number 2. If I find out tomorrow that CMC is going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks, I'm putting Mason number 1. Like I'm doing it. And then I know I mentioned in the video because people drop players. I mean, look, someone just dropped Jahmyr Gibbs. Somebody dropped Drake London. Dropped whatever. Somebody probably dropped Deontay Johnson because he's been hurt, right? Or they don't have an IR spot or something. So I always go check. I would check for him. I would check for Romeo Dobbs, but then I also say Curtis Samuel. I think it's a good time to pick him up. He's been consistent. He's pretty much been the only Washington player that's actually been consistent on offense.
Yeah.
So even though the ceiling isn't super high, like you can roll him out there and just feel pretty good, it looks like. Right. And then we got Sir Boomer. He needs us to talk him off the ledge again. Wants to bench Smith, but he knows it's a bad play. Going to bench him against the Dolphins. He's going to score 30. Well, you did mention this, and I forgot to say because he was targeted, was it 11 times? But I remember seeing one of them, he just flat out dropped, and there was nobody around him, and it would have been like a 20-plus yard play.
Yeah, he had a couple bad drops. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bad play still, personally. And look, yeah, he looks terrible. Like he looked terrible this week, but we know he's a good player. Like he was a good player in college. He's been a good player as a pro. Like we know he's a good player. This isn't a guy like who came out of nowhere, had a couple of random nice games, and then looked terrible again. Like we know he's a good player. So, but look, I get it. But I'm still playing him.
And the issue is this week, because I think he was saying he was going to mention for London, right? Wasn't it for Drake London?
Yeah.
Look, London, yes, huge week, but he was at home against Washington, who always gives up 300-yard passing games.
Yeah.
Now he goes on the road against Tampa Bay. That's not a smash spot. It's not a, like for sure bench him spot, but I don't feel a huge Drake London game this week. Eagles, Dolphins. I mean, couldn't you see this game being in the 40s?
Yeah, assuming the guy who actually looked really terrible last week was Jalen Hurts. So assuming Jalen Hurts bounces back, then yeah, this could certainly be a shootout.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's up there. I mean, I know they changed coordinators and whatever, but it shouldn't change that much. I don't know.
No, and the coordinator they have, it's not like they brought him in off the streets. He's been with the team for since Nick Sirianni, I think, came. So it's not like he's some guy off the streets who's bringing in a whole new system. I mean, he's been on his staff the whole time. It's not blaming that.
Yeah, exactly. Not this whole new situation or anything like that. What about Frosif? You think Sanders is droppable?
I wouldn't drop him yet. I mean, remember he was banged up. They're going on bye this week. We don't know how it's going to play out when he comes back. I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to drop Miles Sanders.
I think some people are speculating, as people will do, that, well, Chuba Hubbard looked pretty good and, Sanders hurt. Maybe Chuba earned the starting job. I don't think the coach is going to think that way. I guess if you need somebody, like if you need to stream somebody to start, you might have to drop Sanders. But I wouldn't drop him just to drop him.
Right.
All right, one more super chat from Amy. Thank you, Amy. She said she messed up. Needs some advice. A lot of players hurt. Yeah, we're all there. Need to drop 2. Monty's off the IR. Well,
he should be going on the IR, but okay. But I know how some leagues, I know if they're, it's annoying. It's annoying, but what can you do? I get it. I get what you're saying there.
So if he had to pick between London or Deontay, I guess that's the choice.
It's got to be London for me. Look, I like Deontay, and somebody dropped him in my home league after like week 3, and I've been stashing him this whole time. But I'd much rather have London. I think he has more upside. I think Deontay is a guy that you can feel like fairly good about in PPR leagues as a floor play, but he's never really going to have a big ceiling. So give me London.
Yeah, I think exactly. Deontay's more of a floor play. Solid and worth picking up, but I think in your league and with your receivers, you don't need him as much. London is worth it. Okay, so then I guess the question is who to drop, because she's saying she needs to drop 2. You got Tua and T-Law, Collins, Thielen, Pickens, Dell, Downs, Kyron. Can't drop Kyron. Palmer. Oh, I think we can drop Amari now.
Yeah, you can definitely drop Amari.
Who else? Dell is going on bye.
Yeah, you could probably drop Dell, honestly. They're going on bye. I doubt anybody's rushing out to pick up Tank Dell. I would drop Amari and Dell.
Yep. Well, and then now that I think about it, staring at Downs, I mean, don't you think drop Downs to get Deontay?
I don't know if I want to drop Downs. I mean, he didn't have like a big game, but he did score. But I don't know. He's kind of been coming on. Although, man, you can't feel, man, Gardner Minshew. I will never, ever, ever forget when Jalen Hurts got hurt his first real year as a starter, and Gardner Minshew played the Jets, who were awful back. Remember, their defense was like a complete sieve back then. They couldn't stop anybody. And he noodle armed his way to like 3 touchdowns. They were all wide open passes to Dallas Goedert, who ran for like 20 plus yards on every touchdown. And everybody was like, Gardner Minshew should be the starter now. Gardner Minshew should be the starter now. Oh my gosh. Like, he's horrible. That was just, yeah. Anyways.
Minshew mania.
Minshew mania, baby. 3 interceptions, a fumble, should have been 5 interceptions.
And you know what's ironic is people will look at the stats from yesterday, and didn't he throw over 300 yards and a couple of touchdowns? Because they were getting beat so bad that he threw the ball 50 times. And so that's called garbage time. So again, he piled up stats because he was so bad in the first half of the game and turned it over. But
yeah, when you turn it over 4 times, you usually have to throw the ball out after that. And look, lucky for him is the other quarterback they have is even worse, so they couldn't bench him. So he had to be the one throwing it. But
yeah, I don't know how we turned that into an opportunity to pile on to Minshew, but there it is. There you have it. So there you go. Let's do that. I mean, pick up London, definitely drop Amari now, and you can drop Dell. And then we got Jordan Dumas up 16. Got Eckler, that's good, but facing those 2 stud receivers. Winner, chicken dinner?
It's going to be a sweat. It's going to be a sweat for sure. I mean, going to be a sweat.
I like your chances. I think I do like your chances because if you have Eckler and you're up. So I think that's a good thing. Arvin, welcome, Arvin. Would you trade Lamar to get Waddle?
Yeah, I would trade Lamar to get Waddle. Like, I don't know if you have another QB, but even still, I would just stream QB. I just don't know if QB like Yeah, I feel like I can stream QB well enough. I'm assuming you need Waddle. Like, I'm assuming it's not like, oh, well, yeah, cool. I already have like 4 awesome receivers, but just give me Waddle anyways. Like, I'm assuming you need Waddle. So I would do this. I'm almost always going to take the player over the QB.
And he just said just now, I have Stafford. So he can get by with Stafford.
Yeah, I mean, I know Stafford didn't have a big game, but that's because they really didn't have to throw it a lot. But Stafford should be good going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you can do that. Look at Lamar. I'll just say this so far, not his fault, but he has not been, lighting it up in fantasy. He's been the top one of the elite quarterbacks. He's up there, but you know what I mean? He's not carrying fantasy teams.
Right.
So I think this is doable. All right. We got just a few minutes until the game gets ready to kick off. So we'll do a last few questions. Anything else you got? Put it up there before we let you go. Tomorrow, of course, we'll be back tomorrow night with our big waiver wire show. So we answer all your questions as far as who to pick up and trades and start sitting. Anything else you got? So do a couple more. Let's see. We got Alan trying to figure out this. He's asking, is Deontay on like the Nico Collins tier?
No, I'd have him below. I'd have him below Nico because again, like Nico at least gives you some upside, right? Nico gives you some weekly upside. Deontay to me is like he's probably rarely going to kill you, right? You put him in your lineup, it's like you can feel safe you're going to get some points, but he's probably also rarely ever going to like win you your week. Whereas Nico, he could certainly win you your week. So I would have Deontay below Nico.
Yeah, I don't think Deontay's ceiling will be as high as what we've seen from Nico this year. One thing I think is going to be frustrating going forward after the bye week, Tank Dell will probably be back. Noah Brown came back because he had been on IR. He ate into the snap share for some of these guys. And like Mechie had been coming on, but then he took a step back. They're going to have 5 kind of similar-ish receivers, Nico Collins being the lead here, but I think it's going to hurt when there's less, well, I guess I should say there's more different players to distribute targets and snaps to. So I would still go Nico Collins though. Yeah, we can't be this low. The Wizard of Odds, Devontae Smith or Hollywood Brown rest of the season.
I still got to go Smith. Man, Brown. A lot of points left on the field yesterday by both these guys, honestly. I don't know if you saw, but right in the first series of the game, Marquise Brown, he got matched up against like a linebacker and just, of course, destroyed him. And, of course, Josh Dobbs underthrew it, and the linebacker wasn't even looking. He just kind of like put his hand up and deflected it. It was like, oh, that should have been a huge touchdown. And then later in the game, he had him wide open again. He underthrew it again. But yeah. I still got to look. I think Hollywood Brown's going to be very good rest of the season, but I still got to go Smith over Hollywood.
I am starting to worry, like you said, this last 2 weeks, we're seeing Dobbs pretty much plummet back to earth, playing over his head the first 4 weeks. Now it's looking rough. So it's got to be Devontae Smith anyways, though. I think even with Kyler Murray, full capacity, I think I still prefer Devontae Smith.
Yes.
Let's see. Okay, so since we got time, we're caught up. She's asking, who do we play? Injuries and buys, not much left.
You play Tua for sure. Well, you can't play Collins or Thielen.
Yeah, just that lots of buys and injuries. You're right. Receiver, we'll go Pickens and
who do the Chargers play next week?
Well, if you're picking up London, you might need to play London.
Well, that's true. Hopefully, you're picking up London, so you'll play London. But if
Chargers
you don't
play the Chiefs,
yeah,
probably have to go Pickens in London because everyone else is on bye.
Yeah, I mean, if you get London, go Pickens in London for sure. Probably not gonna have Kyron. At least you have Barkley back. Not gonna have Monty. I might go Rashawn if he's back, or Gibbs. Obviously, you're going Laporta at tight end. Oh man, are we flexing somebody here?
I think it's gonna have to be Barkley and Gibbs or Rashawn, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to flex those 3 running backs probably.
I don't think there's a choice.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll see you on the start sit shows later in the week, and we'll have more information about who's in, who's out, and we can help you much better then, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a brutal week. But the good thing is after this week, it gets better.
Yes.
All right, and then Biggity, no doubt. We got Keenan and CD hopefully going off. Yeah, of course, that's what we're here for. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow on game about to kick off. So we're gonna get some nice videos ready for you guys for this week. So let you know who to start, who to sit, and all that good stuff. All right, see y'all next time.